The stars looked different from the observation deck of the human vessel Intrepid. Commander Ethan Pierce stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the strange formations of the Alliance space station grow larger as they approached. Next to him, First Officer Samantha Wells checked their diplomatic credentials one last time. This meeting would change the course of human history forever. "Nervous?" asked Samantha, noticing the commander's tight grip. "Cautious," Ethan replied. "We're the first humans most of these aliens will ever see. Earth is counting on us." The Intrepid slowed as it reached the docking bay. Inside the massive space station, representatives from over 200 alien species awaited the newcomers from what they called a death world. The term made Ethan uncomfortable. Yes, Earth had higher gravity than most habitable planets. Yes, its climate zones ranged from burning deserts to frozen wastelands. And yes, humans had evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most of the known sentient species. But Deathworlders sounded like an insult. The ship docked with a gentle bump. Ethan straightened his uniform and nodded to Samantha and the rest of the diplomatic team. "Remember your training. Stay calm, speak clearly, and try not to show your teeth when you smile." They walked through the airlock into a room filled with creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in special tanks, others wore environment suits, and a few looked almost human except for strange colors or extra limbs. The air smelled of unknown spices and chemicals, making Ethan's eyes water slightly. A tall, slender alien with pale blue skin and 4 arms approached them. "Welcome to Alliance Central, humans of Earth. I'm Coordinator Zex, your assigned liaison. The Council awaits you in the Grand Chamber." As they followed Zex through winding corridors, Ethan noticed the stairs. Some aliens backed away as the humans passed. Others whispered to each other or pointed with various appendages. He heard the word Deathworlders more than once. The Grand Chamber took Ethan's breath away. It was a vast room with thousands of seats arranged in circles around. A central platform. Light filtered through colored glass panels, creating patterns across the floor. At the highest point sat 9 aliens of different species, each wearing elaborate robes. "The High Council," whispered Zex. "The 9 most respected representatives in the Alliance. They will hear your petition for membership." As the humans took their place on the platform, Ethan noticed one particular group watching them with unusual intensity. These aliens had metallic gold skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle on their faces. They wore red robes with complex patterns. "Zilarians," explained Zex, following his gaze. "One of the founding species of the Alliance. Very ancient, very powerful. Their representative, Lord Kelmer, sits on the High Council." The session began with formal introductions. Each human stepped forward, stating their name and role. When Ethan introduced himself as the commander of the Intrepid, murmurs spread through the chamber. "You allow military personnel to lead diplomatic missions?" asked a gravelly voice from the council. "It belonged to Lord Kelmer of the Zilarians. Commander Pierce has extensive diplomatic training," replied Samantha smoothly. "On Earth, we value versatility in our leaders." "Fascinating," said Kelmer, though his tone suggested otherwise. "So, typical of a species from a death world? Always ready for conflict." Ethan felt his face grow warm but kept his expression neutral. "We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge exchange with the Alliance?" The questioning continued for hours. The humans explained Earth's history, culture, and technology. Most council members seemed curious or cautiously welcoming, but the Zilarians asked increasingly pointed questions. "Is it true," asked Kelmer, "that humans can continue functioning with broken bones? That you willingly consume substances that cause pain as spices? That your planet experiences weather phenomena that regularly destroy your structures?" "Some of these are exaggerations," said Ethan. "But yes, humans are adaptable. We evolved on a challenging world." Lord Kelmer stood. "Suddenly, Honored Council, I request a security assessment before proceeding further. These Deathworlders could pose significant risks to Alliance citizens if not properly regulated." The council chambers erupted in discussion. Ethan and Samantha exchanged worried glances as Zex leaned toward them. "This is unusual," the liaison sighed quietly. "Security assessments are typically for hostile or primitive species, not diplomatic delegations." After the council conferred privately, the tallest member, a willowy being with feathered arms, addressed the humans. "Earth delegation, the council has agreed to a brief recess while we consider certain protective protocols. Please remain in your assigned quarters." Back in their rooms, the humans held an emergency meeting. "They're afraid of us," said Samantha, pacing the floor. "All this talk about Deathworlders has them thinking we're some kind of monsters." "The Zolarians are definitely pushing that angle," agreed Ethan. "But why? We haven't threatened anyone." "Maybe that's exactly why," suggested Chris Baker, their xenopolitical advisor. "New species usually join the alliance from a position of weakness, needing protection or technology. We came as equals." When the humans were summoned back to the council chamber, they found a document waiting for them, titled Human Containment and Safety Protocols. It listed dozens of restrictions on human movement and activity within Alliance space. Ethan read through the document with growing disbelief. Humans would be required to wear tracking devices. They could not gather in groups larger than 5 without supervision. They were forbidden from visiting certain planets without special permission. They could not serve on Alliance security forces. "This is discrimination," he said, looking up at the council. "You're treating us like criminals?" Lord Kelmer's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "We are treating you like the potential hazard you represent. Your species evolved on a planet that would kill most Alliance citizens instantly. Your bodies are built to withstand conditions that would destroy most sentient life. Your instincts were honed by millennia of predator-prey relationships. Until we better understand humans, these protocols are necessary." Ethan wanted to argue further, but Chris tugged at his sleeve. "Commander, we should confer privately." In a small side chamber, the humans debated their options. "We could refuse return to Earth and develop independently," suggested Samantha, "and miss the chance to join the galactic community, learn from thousands of other civilizations," countered Chris. "These rules are insulting," said Ethan. "But maybe we can work to change them from within the Alliance." After heated discussion, they made their decision. Ethan returned to the council chamber, his face solemn. "The Earth delegation conditionally accepts these protocols, with the understanding that they will be reviewed as our species proves itself to the Alliance." As they left the chamber, Ethan noticed Lord Kelmer watching them with an expression he couldn't quite read. It might have been satisfaction or perhaps concern. Either way, Ethan had the uncomfortable feeling that this was exactly what the Zolarian had wanted. That night, looking out at the unfamiliar stars, Ethan made a silent promise. Humans would follow these rules for now, but someday the galaxy would see that being from the death world didn't make them dangerous. It made them survivors. 5 years passed since humans first joined the Galactic Alliance. Daniel Foster wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked inside the maintenance shaft of the Alliance station. Harmony Point. The environmental systems were set for the comfort of most Alliance species, which left humans constantly overheated or short of breath. Just another small reminder that they were outsiders here. Daniel checked that no one was watching before adjusting his tool belt. Humans were forbidden from carrying certain equipment without supervision, another of the many safety protocols that made life difficult. He had important work to do, and he needed proper tools. A soft chime from his wrist device warned him that a non-human was approaching. Daniel quickly rearranged his tools and adopted a less efficient working position. Around the corner came Supervisor Grex, a bulky, orange-skinned alien with 4 eyes and a constantly disapproving expression. "Engineer Foster, your work efficiency has decreased by 7% this cycle," said Grex, consulting a datapad. "Sorry, Supervisor. The air mix in this section is a bit thin for human lungs," Daniel replied, knowing that requesting adjustments would only lead to more paperwork, and denied requests. Grex made a clicking sound with his mouth parts. "Perhaps we should rotate in a Vexidian engineer. They require almost no oxygen. That won't be necessary. I'll complete the repairs on schedule, Daniel said quickly. The last thing he wanted was to give the Alliance another reason to reduce human work. Assignments. After Grex left, Daniel returned to his real task. For weeks, he had noticed unusual power fluctuations in this section of the station. The official explanation was routine systems testing, but the pattern suggested something else. Something military. Daniel carefully removed a panel and placed a small device of his own design inside. It would record all data transmissions in this area for the next cycle. If his suspicions were correct, the Alliance military was preparing for something big, something they weren't telling the human representatives about. Across the station in the science division, Dr. Lisa Morgan bent over her microscope, examining tissue samples from a newly discovered planet. As the only human xenobiologist allowed to work with potentially dangerous specimens, she felt a special responsibility to do her job well. The restrictive protocols meant that only one human could work in this lab at a time, making her position both privileged and lonely. Dr. Morgan, may I speak with you privately? The voice belonged to Trill, a Nephthalian lab assistant with translucent skin through which Lisa could see a rapidly beating heart. Lisa looked up in surprise. Trill rarely initiated conversation. Of course, what is it? Trill glanced nervously at the lab's monitoring devices before approaching. Not here? Perhaps we could share nutrition in the quiet area? In the station's arboretum, one of the few places without constant surveillance, Trill handed Lisa a data crystal. You should see this. It contains information about the Galactic Alliance's interactions with developing species. Why show me? Asked Lisa. Because your species questions things? Mine accepts, Trill said simply. That night in her quarters, Lisa reviewed the files. What she found disturbed her deeply. The Alliance had a long history of interfering with emerging intelligent species. Some were guided toward Alliance-friendly development. Others, deemed too aggressive or unpredictable, had their development deliberately stalled or even reversed through covert intervention. The most recent file concerned a species called the Narati, aquatic beings whose brains had unusual capabilities. Alliance scientists had discovered that Narati could detect and influence electromagnetic fields, a talent that could eventually develop into a form of telepathy. The report classified them as a potential threat to galactic stability and recommended containment measures. The next day, Lisa met with Ambassador Kate Donnelly in the human diplomatic quarters. Since first contact, Kate had worked tirelessly to improve humanity's standing in the Alliance. Her office was one of the few places humans could speak freely without fear of monitoring. This confirms what we've suspected, said Kate after reviewing the files. The Alliance isn't the benevolent organization it claims to be. It's built on control. The restrictions on humans suddenly make more sense, Lisa replied. We're not just Deathworlders, we're unpredictable. We question authority, Kate nodded. And we've been making connections with other marginalized species. The Vex, the Nephthalians, like your friend Trill, even some of the synthetic life forms. The Alliance leadership must see that as threatening. What about these Narati? Asked Lisa. The report suggests they're planning some kind of intervention soon. I have contacts who might know more, said Kate. There's a network of us now, humans and sympathetic aliens, working to make the Alliance live up to its ideals. I'll see what they can find out. That evening, Daniel Foster joined their meeting, bringing his own disturbing news. The power fluctuations. I've been tracking. They're tests for a new type of weapon. Long range, designed to affect neural tissue on a planetary scale. They're going to use it on the Narati, Lisa realized. Wipe out their special abilities before they fully develop. That would be genocide, said Kate, her face pale. Not killing them outright, but destroying what makes them unique as a species. Over the next weeks, the three humans gathered more evidence and expanded their network. They discovered that the Zolarians were behind the planned Narati intervention. Lord Kelmer himself had signed the authorization, claiming that telepathic species threatened the cosmic balance. Their group grew cautiously. A Vex communications specialist provided access to classified transmissions. A Brecken medical officer supplied details about the neural weapon's effects. Even a junior Zalarian named Salaith, disgusted by his species. Actions shared information about fleet movements through their network. They learned that a Zalarian battle group was preparing to depart for the Narati homeworld. The weapon would be deployed within 30 days. "We need to warn them," said Lisa during an emergency meeting. "How?" asked Daniel. "Any official communication would be blocked. And humans are forbidden from traveling to frontier worlds without special permission." Kate paced the room, her diplomatic training evident in her controlled expression despite her anger. "We need to get word to the human military outpost near the Narati system. It's small, just a token presence the Alliance allowed to make us feel included, but it's our only chance." "I might be able to hide a message in a routine maintenance signal," suggested Daniel. "But what can a handful of human ships do against a Zalarian battle group? We're outnumbered and outgunned." "Maybe," said Kate, a determined look in her eyes. "But we've been holding back, following their rules. Maybe it's time to show the Alliance what Deathworlders can really do when something matters enough." Lisa looked from Kate to Daniel, feeling a mix of fear and resolve. "If we do this, we're breaking the protocols, all of us." "It could mean war," Kate nodded solemnly. "Sometimes you have to break the rules to do what's right. The question is, are we ready to accept the consequences?" As they sat in silence, each considering the choice before them, Daniel finally spoke. "My grandfather used to say that you can tell everything about a civilization by how it treats those weaker than itself. I think it's time we showed the Alliance what kind of civilization humans really are." Captain Ryan Harper stood on the bridge of the human defense vessel Defender, staring at the report in his hands. The small human outpost near the Narati system was not meant for actual defense. It was a political token allowed by the Alliance to make humans feel included while ensuring they had no real military presence. His ship and 3 others like it were classified as observation vessels and carried only minimal weapons under the strict Alliance protocols. But what he was reading changed everything. "Captain, are we really going to do this?" asked Lieutenant Olivia Martinez, his second in command. Her dark eyes were serious as she looked at the decoded message they had received from Ambassador Donnelly. "If this information is accurate, the Zalarians are planning to wipe out the Narathi's telepathic abilities," Ryan said. "Not just interfering with their development, but actively destroying what makes them unique as a species." "Sir, even if we wanted to intervene, we're outnumbered and outgunned," said the tactical officer. "Alliance protocols restrict our weapon systems to defensive capabilities only. The Zalarian fleet will have dreadnoughts." Ryan looked around at his crew, all humans who had trained together on Earth before being assigned to this remote outpost. They had followed the restrictive Alliance protocols for years, proving themselves responsible and trustworthy. And for what? To be kept on the sidelines while atrocities were planned? "The message says other human ships are on their way," said Olivia. "But they won't arrive for at least 3 days. The Zalarian fleet will be here in less than 24 hours. Ryan made his decision. "Call the other captains. We need to meet." 4 hours later, Ryan sat with the 3 other human captains in the secure conference room of the outpost station. Captain Alan Reeves of the Guardian, Captain Maria Sion of the Sentinel, and Captain Ben Franklin of the Vigilant listened intently as Ryan explained the situation. "This goes against everything the Alliance claims to stand for," said Maria, her voice tight with anger. "They preach peace and cooperation, but they're planning to cripple an entire species because they're afraid of what they might become. If we intervene, we break the protocols," said Alan. "We risk everything humans have built in the Alliance over the last 5 years. And if we don't, we're complicit in this crime," countered Ben. "I didn't join the space service to stand by while genocide happens," Ryan nodded. "I've sent a message to Earth, but even at fastest transmission speeds, we won't get a response. Before the Zalarian fleet arrives, this decision is ours alone." The 4 captains looked at each other, the weight of their choice heavy in the room. They were just 4 ships, a tiny force representing humanity far from home. But they were also the only ones who could act in time. "We need to vote," said Ryan finally. "And we all need to agree. Whatever we decide, we face it together." One by one, they cast their votes. It was unanimous. They would stand against the Zalarian fleet, breaking the Alliance protocols to protect the Narati. "Now comes the hard part," said Ryan. "Making a plan that gives us any chance of success." Back on the Defender, Ryan addressed his crew. He explained the situation and the decision, making it clear that any crew member who wished to stand down could do so without penalty. Not a single person left their post. "The Zalarians don't know that we know," said Olivia as they reviewed their options. "We have surprise on our side, at least initially. And we have one other advantage," added Ryan. "We've been holding back, following their rules. The Alliance has never seen what human ships can really do. For years, human engineers had been quietly modifying their ships. Nothing that broke the letter of the protocols, but clever workarounds that pushed the boundaries. Systems that could be quickly reconfigured from defensive to offensive. Power distribution networks that could channel more energy than officially reported. And training programs that prepared crews for scenarios far beyond their official mandate. "Send a message to the other ships," ordered Ryan. "Begin Protocol Omega." Protocol Omega was something they had prepared but hoped never to use. It was the complete reconfiguration of their ships for maximum combat effectiveness, regardless of alliance restrictions. It meant removing the limiters on their engines, activating the enhanced shield generators hidden within normal power systems, and bringing their true weapons capabilities online. As the crew worked frantically to prepare, Ryan recorded a message. It would be broadcast not just to the Zalarian fleet when it arrived, but to the entire Alliance. "This is Captain Ryan Harper of the Earth vessel Defender. For 5 years, humans have followed the restrictive protocols imposed on us by the Galactic Alliance. We have proven ourselves to be peaceful members of the galactic community. Today, we are choosing to break those protocols not out of aggression, but to prevent an atrocity. The Zalarian fleet approaching the Narati homeworld carries weapons designed to destroy the unique neural capabilities of an entire species. This is genocide, regardless of how it is classified in Alliance terms. We stand between the Zalarians and the Narati, not as representatives of the Alliance, but as humans who cannot watch such an act and do nothing. We call on other Alliance members to bear witness to what happens here, and to question whether the principles of the Alliance are truly being upheld." As Ryan finished recording, Olivia approached him with a concerned expression. "Captain, we've detected unusual transmissions. Multiple species are responding to our broadcast. Some are condemning our actions, but others are offering support." Ryan looked at the communications display in surprise. Messages were coming in from Alliance ships of various species stationed in nearby systems. Most expressed shock at the Zalarian plan. Some openly questioned the ethics of the operation. And a precious few announced they were changing course to join the human defense. "Long-range sensors detect the Zalarian fleet," reported the sensor officer. 12 ships, including 2 dreadnoughts, estimated arrival in 6 hours. Ryan took a deep breath. In 6 hours, they would either make history or become a cautionary tale. Either way, the rules had been broken and there was no going back. "All hands to battle stations," he ordered, "and open a channel to our new allies. It's time to plan our defense." As the crew rushed to their positions, Ryan gazed at the view screen showing the distant stars where the Zalarian ships would soon appear. Somewhere out there, the Narati continued their peaceful existence, unaware that their future hung in the balance. And across Alliance space, beings of all species were watching, waiting to see what would happen when the Deathworlders finally broke the rules. The space around the Narati homeworld sparkled with distant stars. Until today, it had been a quiet sector, largely ignored by the bustling activity of the Alliance. Now it was about to become a battlefield. The 4 human ships positioned themselves in a defensive formation, their engines glowing brighter than normal as the hidden modifications came online. Admiral Diane Rodriguez arrived just in time. her small fleet of 7 additional human vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel with precision. She had been the highest-ranking human in the Earth Defense Force when the distress call came, and she had not hesitated to gather every available ship. "Captain Harper, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Good to see you're still in one piece," she said. "Over the secure channel. Admiral, your timing is perfect." "The Zolarians will be here within the hour," replied Ryan from the bridge of the Defender. Diane's expression was grim but determined. "We've also picked up transmissions from 5 non-human ships heading this way. Alliance members who disagree with the Zolarian operation." 11 ships against the Zolarian battle group, said Ryan. "Still not great odds." "We're not here to win a traditional battle," reminded Diane. "We just need to prevent them from deploying their weapon against the Narati. And we need to make sure the entire Alliance sees what happens here." The human fleet reorganized, incorporating the new arrivals into their defensive pattern. Each ship had been modified beyond what Alliance protocols allowed, though none of those modifications had ever been activated before now. Engineers across the fleet worked frantically to bring experimental systems online, systems designed on Earth but never before tested in actual combat. "All ships, this is Admiral Rodriguez. You've all made your choice to be here, and I want you to know that whatever happens next, Earth stands with you. Today we show the Alliance what humans are, truly capable of, not out of aggression, but out of a commitment to justice." On the bridge of her flagship, the valiant Diane studied the tactical display. The Zolarian fleet would arrive soon, led by Commander Keltec, a protégé of Lord Kelmer. According to their intelligence, the neural weapon was housed aboard the largest dreadnought, protected by layers of defenses. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Alliance Council," reported her communications officer. The holographic image of a council member appeared, a tall, willowy being with feathered arms. "Admiral Rodriguez, you are in violation of multiple Alliance protocols. Stand down immediately or face severe consequences." "Counselor, with all due respect, we are preventing a violation of the Alliance's own founding principles," replied Diane firmly. "The Zolarian operation against the Narati constitutes genocide. We have transmitted all evidence to the Council and to media outlets throughout Alliance space." "This is not your decision to make, human," the counselor said coldly. "The Narati development has been classified as a potential threat to galactic stability by the Zolarians, who fear any species that might challenge their dominance," countered Diane. "We will not stand down." The transmission ended abruptly as sensors detected the arrival of the Zolarian fleet. 12 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their golden hulls gleaming in the light of the Narati sun. They were impressive vessels, built by a species with thousands of years of space travel experience. "They're launching fighter craft," reported the tactical officer. "And the lead dreadnought is powering up its main weapon system. All ships, defensive formation Delta," ordered Diane. "Activate countermeasures." The human ships responded instantly, their modified systems coming fully online. Shields strengthened to levels far beyond what the Alliance thought humans capable of. Engines pushed to performance limits that would have shocked Alliance engineers. And weapon systems, officially classified as defensive only, reconfigured to reveal their true capabilities. The first wave of Zolarian fighters approached, firing energy weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. The Zolarians were clearly trying to remove the human ships without causing a diplomatic incident that would be too difficult to explain later. "They're still underestimating us," said Diane with a grim smile. "Let's show them what Deathworlders can do." The human fleet responded with a coordinated defensive maneuver that surprised the Zolarian fighters, moving with precision that spoke of countless hours of training. The human ships evaded most of the initial attack, while their point defense systems handled the rest. "Return fire? Targeted disabling shots only," ordered Diane. "We're not here to destroy, just to prevent." The human weapons fired, revealing capabilities far beyond their official specifications. The Zolarian fighters, unprepared for the power and accuracy of the human response, scattered in confusion. Several spun out of control, their systems temporarily Disabled, the 5 allied non-human ships joined the defensive action, adding their firepower to the protection of the Narati world below. It was an unprecedented sight. Species that had previously looked down on humans now, fighting alongside them against one of the Alliance's founding members. Commander Keltek's voice came over an open channel, his tone a mixture of anger and disbelief. "This is your final warning. Stand aside or be destroyed. The Narati operation has been authorized by the highest levels of the Alliance." "We've seen the authorization, Commander," replied Diane. "We've also seen the classified reports about the Narati. There is no threat justifying this action, only fear of a species with potential to rival the Zolarians." "You know nothing, human?" spat Keltek. "The Narati must be contained before they develop further. Their telepathic abilities could destabilize the entire Alliance. Or they could contribute new perspectives and abilities," countered Diane. "Just as humans have tried to do despite the restrictions placed upon us." The conversation ended as the Zolarian dreadnoughts moved forward, their massive weapons powering up. This would be the real test. The human ships could handle fighters, but the dreadnoughts were another matter entirely. "Admiral, the lead dreadnought is targeting the Narati northern continent," reported the sensor officer. "Energy readings indicate they're preparing to deploy the neural weapon." "Intercept course full speed," ordered Diane. "All ships converge on that dreadnought." What followed would later be described in 100 different ways across Alliance space. The human ships moved with unexpected speed, their engines pushing far beyond safety limits by any Alliance standard. They positioned themselves directly between the Zolarian dreadnought and the planet below, forming a living shield. "They're firing," called out the tactical officer. The energy beam from the dreadnought struck the human defensive line. Shields flared brightly, absorbing punishment. That should have overwhelmed them instantly. "Emergency systems activated." Channeling the energy away from critical systems, on the bridge of the Valiant, warning alerts sounded as the ship shuddered under the impact. Diane gripped her command chair, watching as damage reports flooded in. "Shields at 40% and holding," reported her officer, surprise evident in his voice. "The modifications are working." Across the human line, the story was similar. The ships were damaged but intact, their hidden capabilities proving their worth in the moment of crisis. And as the Zolarians prepared for a second attack, something unexpected happened. New ships appeared at the edge of the system. Alliance vessels from a dozen different member species responding to the human broadcast. They had come not as official representatives of the Alliance, but as individuals who could not stand by while an injustice was committed. The battle for the Narati homeworld had become something more. It was no longer just about humans breaking the rules. It had become a moment of truth for the entire Alliance. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from every Alliance species packed the circular chamber, their voices creating a constant hum of tension and anticipation. At the center of it all stood Jack Monroe, the human representative chosen to speak for Earth in this historic emergency session. 2 weeks had passed since the Battle of Narati Prime, as it was now being called. The confrontation had ended not with the destruction of either fleet, but with something more powerful: truth. When dozens of Alliance ships from different member species arrived in response to the human broadcast, the Zolarians had been forced to stand down. The neural weapon had never been deployed. And in the aftermath, the evidence gathered by Daniel Foster, Dr. Lisa Morgan, and Ambassador Kate Donnelly had been shared across Alliance space, triggering the greatest political crisis in its long history. "The Council recognizes the representative from Earth," announced the Council leader, a tall being with iridescent scales that shifted color with each movement. Jack stepped forward, his simple human uniform standing out among the elaborate robes and environmental suits of the other species. He carried no weapons, wore no special protection. To many in the chamber, this still seemed reckless, a reminder of the Deathworlder physiology that had caused so much fear. "Honored Council, representatives of the Alliance," Jack began, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. 5. Years ago, humans were welcomed into the Alliance with restrictions no other species faced. We were classified as dangerous because we evolved on a planet that would kill most of you. We accepted these rules because we valued the opportunity to join the galactic community. We followed your protocols. We proved ourselves peaceful, and how were we rewarded? With continued discrimination and the discovery that the Alliance itself violates its own founding principles. Murmurs spread through the chamber. On the highest tier, Lord Kelmer of the Zolarians sat rigidly, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. The evidence has been verified by independent experts from 27 Alliance worlds, continued. Jack, the Zolarian-led operation against the Narati was not an isolated incident. For centuries, the development of species deemed threatening has been deliberately stunted. All while the Alliance proclaimed its commitment to diversity and cooperation, the humans broke our most sacred protocols. Lord Kelmer finally exploded, rising from his seat. They modified their ships beyond approved specifications. They directly disobeyed Council orders. They should be expelled from the Alliance immediately. Jack remained calm in the face of the outburst. Yes, we broke your rules. To prevent you from breaking something far more important, the right of a species to develop naturally without interference. We chose to risk everything to protect those who could not protect themselves. A new voice joined the debate, coming from a section where the newer Alliance members sat. It belonged to Trill, the Nephthalian who had first shared information with Dr. Lisa Morgan. My people joined the Alliance 300 years ago. We were told it stood for progress and mutual respect. Yet we too have faced restrictions, subtle, but real, because our transparent physiology makes others uncomfortable. The humans did what many of us have wanted to do but feared to attempt. One by one, representatives from other species rose to speak. Some condemned the human actions as reckless and dangerous. Others praised their courage. The debate raged for hours, revealing deep divisions within the Alliance that had long been hidden beneath a veneer of unity. Through it all, Jack stood his ground, answering questions directly, refusing to apologize for protecting the Narati. Humanity did not join the Alliance to blindly follow rules that perpetuate injustice, he said. We joined to be part of something greater than ourselves, a community of diverse beings working together for the benefit of all. If that is not what the Alliance truly stands for, then perhaps it is not the Alliance that should expel humans, but humans who should choose to leave. A hush fell over the chamber at these words. The thought of humans walking away, perhaps forming their own coalition with sympathetic species, sent a ripple of concern through the gathered representatives. Despite their fears about Deathworlders, many had come to value human contributions to science, medicine, and cultural exchange. The council leader called for a recess to allow private deliberations. For 3 days, the highest-ranking representatives of each species met in closed sessions, debating the future of the Alliance and humanity's place within it. Outside the council chambers, public opinion across Alliance space was similarly divided, with massive demonstrations both supporting and condemning the human actions. When the council finally reconvened, the leaders' scales had shifted to a deep blue, a sign of momentous decision-making among their species. After extensive deliberation, this council has reached several conclusions, they announced. First, the evidence of improper interference with developing species, including but not limited to the Narati, has been found credible. A full investigation will be conducted, and those responsible will face consequences according to Alliance law. Lord Kelmer and several other Zolarian representatives stirred uncomfortably in their seats. Second, while the humans clearly violated existing protocols, they did so to prevent a greater violation of Alliance principles. Therefore, no punitive measures will be taken against Earth or its representatives. Relieved murmurs spread through the human section. Finally, and most significantly, this council recognizes that the events at Narati Prime have exposed fundamental flaws in our governance structure. The restrictive protocols imposed on humans and other species deemed dangerous or unpredictable are inconsistent with our stated values of diversity and inclusion. The leader paused, their scales shifting to a bright gold. Therefore, we propose the drafting of a new galactic charter, one that protects the rights of all sentient species to develop without interference, and which judges members not by their biology or evolutionary history, but by their actions and commitment to shared principles. The chamber erupted in a mixture of cheers, protests, and urgent discussions. It was unprecedented, the alliance thousands of years old, considering a fundamental restructuring of its governing philosophy. In the days that followed, the Narati situation was resolved peacefully. Representatives of the aquatic species were invited to Alliance space to begin diplomatic relations on their own terms. The Deathworlder protocols that had restricted human activities were officially suspended pending the drafting of the new charter. And across the galaxy, the story of what had happened spread from world to world, told differently by each species, but always with the same core truth. The day the humans broke the rules had changed everything. To the Zolarians, it became a cautionary tale about underestimating those they considered lesser beings. To the Narati, it was the origin story of their entry onto the galactic stage. To younger species just developing space travel, it represented the promise that they too would be judged by their actions, not their biology, and to humans, it was a reminder of who they truly were, not just survivors from a harsh world, but beings willing to risk everything to stand up for what was right. As Jack Monroe prepared to return to Earth with news of the Council's decision, he reflected that perhaps being Deathworlders had given humans not just physical resilience, but a moral strength that the galaxy had needed more than anyone had realized.